Hi, everyone. It's been a week at Fairport Harbor Public Library. Monday, the air conditioning was broken, so we went home because we were melting. And it had nothing to do with buckets of water being thrown on us either. Who's got that reference? So, anyhow, we're a little behind on reading. So, I'm going to try to catch us up today with Blessings in Disguise by Nancy Neal, published by Guidepost. Chapter 11. After lunch, Levi went back to the farm to make sure everything was going smoothly, while Naomi stayed with Cheryl. The women barely made it into the shop when it began to rain again in earnest. It promised to be a frigid rain, fueled by a deep October chill. The Vogel brothers were playing checkers, and Bo had taken up his spot under the table, lying on Reuben's shoe. Since the brothers usually played in the morning, Cheryl wondered how they knew when to meet. There was no way Cheryl could ask them, so the answer to that question would have to remain a mystery. A fire crackled in the stove, and the entire shop was warm and inviting. Cheryl suddenly felt overwhelmingly blessed to be exactly where she was, in Sugar Creek, running the Swiss Miss and living among these gentle people. Once again, she thought about how a few months ago her life had been in shambles. Now she was actually grateful Lance had called off the wedding. A scripture in Romans floated into her head. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. These words had never meant more to her than they did at that moment. Thank you, God, she whispered. Did you say something? Naomi asked. Cheryl smiled and shook her head. Just thanking God for bringing me to Sugar Creek. Naomi reached over and took her arm. I have thanked God for this too. I am so blessed to have a new friend. Friends are among God's best gifts, ain't so? Yes, they are, Cheryl nodded. Esther walked up next to her mother. I have displayed Levi's Bible covers, she said with a shy smile. Would you like to see them? Cheryl and Naomi followed her to a shelf not far from the counter. The 4 covers had been placed next to each other with the price tags attached. They are so beautiful, Cheryl said softly. I am thrilled he's allowing me to sell them. I'm happy too, Naomi said. I do not understand why he changed his mind, but I am glad that he did. I know that people will cherish them. I agree, Cheryl said with a smile. She went to her office to work on the books while Naomi sat out in the shop with Esther. At about 2 o'clock, Cheryl left the office to help Esther with customers from Annie's Amish tours. The bus came twice during the day, once between 10 and 10:30 in the morning, and again around 2 in the afternoon. There were other tour buses that came through town, but Annie's was the only company that only came to Sugar Creek. There weren't a lot of riders today, probably due to the weather, so Esther and Cheryl took care of their customers quickly. Cheryl was grateful the driver stayed on the bus and didn't come in. After the bus pulled away, Cheryl went back to her office, finished her work, and went out front just as Lydia arrived to meet with Esther. She'd changed clothes and was back in jeans and the same blue blouse she'd worn before. Cheryl assumed the outfit was the only one she had outside of her regular clothes. You ready to go? Lydia asked Esther as she came in. Esther looked at Cheryl, who nodded. I will see you tomorrow, she nodded with a smile. Esther came over and gave her mother a quick hug. I will come back and ride home with you, ma'am. I will not leave until Cheryl does, Naomi said, so you might as well take your time. Please give Marion my best and tell her we are praying for her and the baby. Cheryl was silent until the 2 girls left the shop. Naomi, are you staying here to protect me? Yeah. Levi and I do not feel you should be alone until the police chief is able to help us. Oh, Naomi, that is just not necessary. I'm surrounded by people all day, and if something concerns me, I can call the police station. It's only a couple of blocks away. The older woman looked unconvinced. Levi and I are very concerned about your safety. We trust that God watches over you, but he also gives us each other. Sometimes we feel concerned because God is telling us one of his children needs help. She frowned. You have no husband to take care of you. But I thought Seth was worried about you spending time with me. I doubt hanging all around here all day will make him happy. That is true, but my husband does not know what I do every minute of my life. Cheryl shook her head. I just won't have it. I don't want to come between the two of you. What about this? I'll visit Chief Twitchell, tell him about the note, but I won't mention Abby. Not yet, anyway. Then, if we can't find Jerry by Saturday, I'll tell him the whole story, just like we agreed. Would that make you and Levi feel better? Yeah, it would bring some rest to my mind. At least the chief will know there's a reason to keep a closer watch on you. Okay, Cheryl said. I will see him about the note. Naomi, it is wonderful to have friends like you in your family, but I can't have you putting your lives on hold for me. And I don't want Seth to forbid you from coming here. It would break my heart. Even if he does, we will always be friends. I would not bring your supplies, but I will see you outside of the store. Cheryl shrugged. You say that, but what if Seth cuts off all contact? I don't want to take that chance. She paused for a moment as the Vogel brothers stood up from their chairs and headed out the front door. Naomi said goodbye to them. Ben nodded, but as usual, Reuben made no eye contact with her or Cheryl. I do not believe Seth would do that, Naomi said. What if the chief asked if you have any idea who wrote the note? What will you say? Cheryl pondered the question for a moment. I'll tell him I'm not certain. Because I'm not. The bell over the door tinkled, and Cheryl turned to see Mike Taylor walk in. Naomi and Cheryl exchanged quick glances. Good day, ladies. Looks like the rain is driving away your business a little. It is slower than normal, Cheryl acknowledged. Told my wife about your shop, and she read me the riot act. Ordered me to come back and buy some things to bring home with me. Hope you don't mind if I look around a little more. That's why I open the door every day. Of course. Dumb comment. Sorry. If there's anything I can help you with, just let me know. I will. Thanks. As Mike began to inspect the displays, Naomi whispered, He seems like a very nice man, not the kind of man who would hurt people. I agree, Cheryl whispered back, but we can't rule him out. It might be an act. I suppose you're right, Naomi said, but I do not like being suspicious of people. I know, I don't like it either. The two women were silent while the man carefully riffled through Cheryl's inventory. Finally, he came to the counter with a quilted apron, a cookbook, and a box of peanut brittle. Hopefully she'll like these. Guess I'll need white windshield wipers on these things, too, he said about his glasses that were wet from the rain. He set them down on the counter and reached into his pocket for his wallet. Would you like to see my family? He held out his wallet. A nice-looking woman and two children smiled from the photograph. The woman certainly wasn't Abby. Very attractive, Cheryl said. Thank you. The shot is old. The kids are grown now, but it's always been one of my favorites. I tell my wife she hasn't changed a bit. She thinks I'm just saying that, but I'm quite serious. To me, she's always been the most beautiful girl in the world, and she always will be. That's lovely, Cheryl said with a sigh. You are both very blessed. Yes, we are. He accepted his change and put it in his wallet. Cheryl noticed a sticker on his wallet and pointed it out. Oh my, guess you can tell the wallet is new. My old one was falling apart. I've got to replace mine too. The clasp doesn't work and my change falls out inside my purse. Whenever I want change, I have to dig through everything else to find it. I don't suppose you bought that in Sugar Creek, did you? At a shop called, he nodded. Now, what was the name of that place? Naomi peered closely at the small stickers. Buttons and bows. It's just a couple of blocks up the street. Mike snapped his finger and slid his wallet back in his pocket. That's it. Maybe my mind blocked it because it doesn't sound very manly to say I bought my wallet at a place called Buttons and Bows. Cheryl and Naomi both laughed. Well, we won't tell anyone. Mike gave her a lopsided grin. Thanks, I appreciate that. I don't suppose you've had time to speak to your aunt. Cheryl shook her head. She's very hard to reach. It might be a while before I talk to her, but I'm pretty sure she has no interest in selling this store. I still have your number, though. When I hear from her, I'll tell her about your offer. Thank you. That's all I can ask. After saying goodbye, he left. Well, we can cross him off. He has a family and Abby's not part of it. So now we are down to two possibilities. Yeah, I guess so, Cheryl sighed. What is bothering you, Cheryl? I just keep wondering if we're even on the right track. What if Jerry isn't in town? I hope we're not stalking innocent men. Yeah, I'm concerned about that as well. Cheryl started to say something else when the front door opened and Levi strolled in. Sorry to be away so long, he said, finally looking around the shop. Everything is fine at home. The zoo and the maze are closed until the rain stops, so that has made things easier. Cheryl has decided to speak to the police chief now, Naomi said. Levi frowned and looked at Cheryl. Thought you were going to wait until Saturday. Cheryl quickly explained her reasons. That way he can keep an eye on me so you and your mother won't worry so much. We do not mind spending time with you, he said. We just want to be certain you are safe. I understand that, Levi, and I appreciate it. But as I told your mother, I don't want to upset Seth. His first concern is for his family, as it should be. Besides, I'd feel better too having the police aware of what's going on. It'll make me feel a little safer. Levi didn't look convinced. I understand, but I'm not sure this is prudent. Naomi began to patiently explain why she agreed with Cheryl's conclusion. Although Levi didn't say anything, he nodded as he listened to his mother's argument. I do want you to feel protected, Cheryl, Levi said finally. Of course we will support your decision. Perhaps making him aware about the note will not put Abby in any further danger. So when do you plan on speaking to Chief Twitchell? Cheryl glanced at her watch. I'll probably go tomorrow while Esther is here. It's a little late in the day now. All right. I will come by in the afternoon to see how your meeting went. I can take Esther home and bring you a new batch of butter cheese. I'm almost out of strawberry jam, too, Cheryl said. Can you bring me a dozen more jars? Naomi nodded. I will also bring some apple butter. It seems much more popular during the fall. I will also be making pumpkin butter soon. Has always been a fall favorite. Your banana bread goes quickly. Also, will you also be making pumpkin bread? Naomi nodded. I will bring some of both. That sounds wonderful. I doubt it will stay on the shelf very long. When do you want to leave, ma'am? Levi said. It's getting late. I told your sister I would stay until the shop closed. All right, unless you want me to wait with you, I believe I will go home and start the evening chores. I'll send Eli for you and Esther. That is fine, son, Naomi said with a smile. I will see you later. Levi said goodbye to the women and turned to go. About halfway to the door, he stopped and turned around. Ah, I almost forgot, ma'am. I stopped to buy the budget and got a copy for you. It's printed on Wednesdays and mailed to subscribers, but ma'am likes to get her copy early, so I dropped by and picked one up, when I remember. He reached inside his coat and pulled the folded newspaper out of an inside pocket. Then he carried it over to his mother, said goodbye once again, and left. While Cheryl took care of the few customers that filtered in, Naomi sat down in a rocking chair next to the pot-bellied stove and read her paper. It was almost closing time when Naomi suddenly let out a strangled cry. My goodness, Naomi, what's wrong? Naomi got up from the rocking chair and carried her newspaper over to the counter, where she opened it up and pointed to something. Cheryl moved the paper closer, looking at the spot Naomi indicated in the classified section. William Osborne wants to sell his Jersey milk cow. I don't understand. No, below the ad for the cow. Cheryl's mouth dropped open as she read, reward offered for information leading to the whereabouts of Abby Harper. Her husband wants her to come home. It was followed by a telephone number. Guess it really is time to go to the sheriff. We'll see what happens on Monday. Have a great weekend. Stay cool.